How dare you divorce me just because I carried another man's baby? My wife's first love, Lucas Doyle, shared an ultrasound report on Twitter. The caption read, "My beloved woman and I are about to have our love child." I silently liked the post and commented below, "Congratulations to both of you." Just 1 second after I posted the comment, my wife, Layla Moss, called me, angrily shouting, "I'm just having a baby for him. Can you not make a big deal out of it?" I quietly hung up the phone. It was time to get a divorce. My wife's first love, Lucas Doyle, shared an ultrasound report on Twitter. The caption read, "My beloved woman and I are about to have our love child." I silently liked the post and commented below, "Congratulations to both of you." Just 1 second after I posted the comment, my wife, Layla Moss, called me, angrily shouting, "I'm just having a baby for him. Can you not make a big deal out of it?" I quietly hung up the phone. It was time to get a divorce. I stared blankly at the pregnancy report. I really like children and have always dreamed of having one with my wife. I had pestered her for a long time, but she never budged. She said she didn't like having sex and didn't want children, claiming that kids are unruly and noisy and that raising them is exhausting. Now it seems she didn't dislike having children. She simply didn't want to have one with me. But recently, I noticed her often researching what to prepare for having a baby and staying up late to make two lists, one for what a pregnant mother needs and another for what a newborn needs. I thought she might want a child, and I felt like a fool for being so happy, but now it seems those preparations weren't meant for me. My wife came home unusually early today. I checked the time. It was only 8 p.m. Usually, she wouldn't come back until after midnight. She called my name. I was lying in the bedroom and didn't respond to her at all. Shortly after, I heard the sound of running water from the bathroom. After she finished showering, she entered the bedroom without turning on the lights and quietly lay down beside me. I felt a warm, tingly sensation on my waist. This was the first time she had taken the initiative to hug me. Then she buried her head in my neck and said in a sweet tone, "Honey, Lucas really likes kids, but he doesn't want to have a child with someone he doesn't love. I promise that once I give him this baby, I'll cut ties with him." I didn't say anything. I just removed her hand from my waist and quietly shifted away. She sensed my attitude and immediately became dissatisfied, saying, "I've gone out of my way to please you like this. What more do you want? Don't forget you said you didn't care about my past. You just wanted to be with me. Don't act like a jealous woman. I could have continued to hide this from you, but I told you out of respect, and you've really disappointed me." She spilled out all her grievances and then threw out, "Think about how I've treated you lately. If you want a child, I can have one for you later. Tonight, I'll sleep on the couch." The door slammed shut, and I couldn't help but laugh, laughing at my pathetic marriage and at myself for being so blind. In her eyes, apologizing to me was a form of flattery, giving me face, and I couldn't refuse. Otherwise, I would be the jealous woman in her words. The way she treats me is rooted in my simp-like love for her. So, this was all my fault. Early in the morning, Layla was already gone. I naturally knew where she went. She had been leaving early and coming home late these days. Her assistant, Jody, had called several times looking for her. Jody said she hadn't been to the office lately. Putting it all together, she could only be going to see Lucas. After scheduling an appointment, I took a taxi to the hospital. The stone removal surgery was quick. I was out in 10 minutes. Coincidentally, while handling the payment, I ran into Layla. She was linking arms with Lucas and frowned at me, asking, "Are you following me?" I didn't answer her, but looked at Lucas. He awkwardly avoided my gaze and pretended to scold Layla, saying, "What are you talking about? How could Tyler be following us? We're open about our relationship." Lucas's verbal skill quickly shifted the problem back to me. I could only reply with a smile. "Yes, you two are here for a prenatal checkup. What does that have to do with me? Why would I follow you?" Seeing me speak plainly, Layla pushed me away angrily, saying, "What do you mean? Lucas and I are just friends." I had just undergone surgery and felt weak. Her push knocked me to the ground, and the pain from the wound made me wince. Lucas immediately crouched down to help me, scolding Layla, but his expression was a provocation toward me. I pushed him away in disgust. wanting to get up by leaning on the wall, but to my surprise, he plopped down on the ground, repeatedly exclaiming how much it hurt. Layla hurriedly helped him up and shouted at me, "If anything happens to Lucas, I won't spare you." I was sweating from the pain, watching my wife ignore me and embrace another man as they left. I was even more grateful that Layla and I didn't have children. A woman who didn't love her husband would hardly love her child. Back home, I pulled out my phone to post something on Twitter, but I saw another photo that Lucas had posted. This time, it was Layla's back, captioned, "A woman who loves me is worth it for a lifetime." Below it were comments from Layla's friends. "Eve, that back looks so much like our Layla, lol. Arya, you two have something going on. Oh, got it. So the kid is yours. Congrats." Within a second, I saw Layla's comment. "Don't say random things. I'm just helping out. Are you trying to see Tyler and me divorce?" With that, her friends all replied in unison, "Got it. Understood." But Eve shot back, "Who cares? A petty man is not worth it. Just leave him and be with Lucas. Everyone knows you can't let go after all these years, so why not follow your heart?" Eve had been Layla's close friend since childhood. She didn't like me much and always felt I was unworthy of her best friend, especially compared to Lucas. She would say I wasn't as handsome as Lucas, didn't have his masculinity, and wasn't as understanding. In her eyes, I couldn't compare to him at all. But for Layla's sake, I had never said anything. Now that my marriage with Layla had collapsed, I no longer needed to worry about anyone's feelings. I replied, "Just get divorced already. You've been worrying about Layla for so long." After sending it out, I opened my Twitter homepage and selected two pictures, one of the marriage certificate and another of the pregnancy test results. I captioned it, "Finally, I can be free." Just after posting, my Twitter received many likes and comments. But not a single like came from Layla's friends. They seemed to have chosen to ignore it, but I'm sure they called Layla to celebrate. Before long, my phone started blowing up. My parents and Layla's parents called me. Layla kept calling too, but I didn't answer any of them. I only replied to my parents with a message. "I'm going home today. I'll talk to you when I get there." Soon, I packed my things and, as I was leaving, I coincidentally ran into Layla, who had just driven back. She got out of the car and stormed over to me, furious. "Tyler, what do you mean by posting that on Twitter? Do you have no regard for my feelings? What do you think my parents will think after seeing that?" Her barrage of questions made me feel nauseous, but at this point, I didn't need to argue with her. Ignoring her anger, I walked down the steps with my luggage toward the gate. But she forcefully grabbed my arm. "Is this amusing to you? I've told you I would cut ties with him after the baby is born. I've compromised so much for you. How much more do you want from me?" Her shameless words echoed in my ears repeatedly, and I could no longer hold back. I slapped her hard. "Don't ruin your pure relationship for me. Eve is right. You should follow your heart. Why should you be with a petty man like me? You should find someone more generous. I've sent you the electronic divorce agreement. Remember to sign it." After saying that, I broke free from her grip and opened the door to leave. Behind me came her impotent roar. "Don't regret it when you leave." How could I regret it? I should be thankful for her actions this time, as they finally made me realize that I would live better without her. Once I got home, my parents quickly pulled me aside, asking why I was getting a divorce. My mom's eyes were red, clearly having just cried. I told them about Layla having a baby with someone else. My mom held me tightly and cried, "I told you this person wasn't reliable long ago." My dad was silent for a while and then said, "Good to be rid of her." I pursed my lips, finally unable to stop my eyes from watering. They never thought highly of Layla, saying she didn't love me. But I pursued Layla for 7 years, and when she finally agreed to date me, I couldn't hear anyone's advice, convinced I could make her fall for me over time. Clearly, I didn't succeed, and it ended up in divorce. A forced relationship is truly unsweet. I've experienced this over 10 years of youth. I waited a long time, but Layla still hadn't signed the papers. Finally, when I said I would take legal action, she reluctantly messaged me. "I'll pick you up tomorrow, and Eve and the others will apologize to you. Let's not make a scene anymore. I'm really tired. It's not easy choosing between Lucas and you." "I'm sorry. Can you try to understand? I said I would keep my distance from him, but I'm still pregnant and really don't want to risk a miscarriage over this. She keeps saying she doesn't know who to choose between me and Lucas, but her countless actions prove she will always choose Lucas. On the day of our wedding, she chose to comfort Lucas over me when he had a fight with his wife. On our anniversary, she chose to spend Lucas's birthday with him instead of me. On my birthday, she went to celebrate Lucas's promotion. Every holiday, she bought gifts in pairs, one for me and one for Lucas, creating this ridiculous fairness. I often complained to her, but she always promised it wouldn't happen again, only to repeat the same mistakes. When I said too much, she would accuse me of being petty and small-minded. Looking back, the happiest time with her was on the day I proposed. There were many surprises that day. The proposal took place at West Band, over 4,000 meters high, where the stars seemed to be within reach. In the end, under the witness of the starry sky, I took out the sparkling ring and placed it on her finger. Her gaze was sincere and passionate, and her vows were heartfelt. That was the most serious moment she had with me. It was a proposal ceremony I had prepared for a long time, just for the two of us. When Layla saw I hadn't replied, she called me directly. "Tyler, I've booked a restaurant for everyone to apologize to you. Let's stop the drama." I replied nonchalantly, "Is Lucas coming?" "Yes." "Okay, then come pick me up tomorrow." If they want to apologize, how can it only be to me? When Layla came to pick me up, Lucas was sitting in the front passenger seat. He smiled at me apologetically. "Sorry, Tyler, I get carsick and can only sit in the front." I smiled back. "It's fine. If it were my old self, I would definitely feel uncomfortable. But now, no matter how ridiculous Layla and he behave, I won't get angry anymore." Interestingly, as long as it's Layla's car, he has to sit in the front passenger seat. But when he rides in someone else's car, he won't say he gets carsick. He insists on sitting in the front passenger seat. When it's mealtime, Layla's friends are already seated, and it's just the three of us missing. Eve is the first to come over, greet me, and pull me to sit next to her. "Come on, Tyler, sit next to me. I'll make it up to you in a bit." Her tone didn't convey any real apology. Instead, it sounded a bit threatening. After everyone is seated, Eve pours me a drink, saying she'll self-punish with a shot, then raises her glass and downs it in one go before starting to apologize to me. "Tyler, I tend to speak without thinking, so don't take it to heart. I really don't think much of you, and I feel you're not good enough for my sister, but there's nothing I can do since she still wants to be with you, so today I'm here for her. I sincerely apologize to you." Saying this, she poured herself another drink and said to me, "I'll take another shot. I really said the wrong thing that day. I'm sorry." Just as she finished speaking, Layla and her other friends also chimed in with their apologies. Seeing that the atmosphere had calmed down, Layla quickly tried to ease things and invited everyone to eat. However, Lucas stood up with a glass of juice and said to me, "Tyler, I also want to apologize to you. Layla has deep feelings for me, which made you suffer." Layla immediately pressed him back down, saying, "You did nothing wrong. You don't need to apologize." Then, Layla looked at me seriously and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't handle this relationship well." "It's okay. There's still one person who wants to hear you both apologize." Just as I finished speaking, the door was suddenly pushed open, and a well-dressed woman walked in. "Honey, why are you here?" Lucas looked at the woman in surprise. "I invited her. You all wanted to apologize, right? Then you should talk about what you've been doing behind your wife's back." "Tyler, what are you doing?" I ignored Layla's angry shout and pulled the woman in front of Lucas and Layla. "Aren't you both supposed to apologize? What's the point of just apologizing to me? Lucas's wife is here now. Why don't you both discuss why he wants to have a child with you? After all, you used to be lovers." Lucas and Layla's faces changed instantly. Lucas's wife clenched her fists tightly, holding back her anger. Just as Lucas was anxiously trying to explain to her, she slapped him across the face. "Is it fun to lie to me? You said you wanted a child, but that was just to have one with your first love." Faced with Lucas's wife's furious shout, Layla anxiously pulled Lucas behind her, looking apologetically at his wife. "Sis, I'm sorry. This is my fault." I soft-heartedly agreed to Lucas. "If you want to hit someone, hit me. Don't hurt Lucas. When Lucas's wife heard this, she sneered, "You're a total homewrecker. Don't you have a husband? You want to have a child with someone else's husband, and you expect me to raise the child for you two, right?" Layla quickly tried to defend herself. "But we didn't do anything physical. I just used some fancy science stuff to get some of Lucas's sperm. That's not cheating, right?" I crossed my arms and laughed at this scene. In the eyes of Lucas and Layla, they thought that as long as they didn't sleep together, it didn't count as cheating. But Lucas's wife was not like me. She wouldn't swallow this anger. She gritted her teeth and slapped Layla across the face. "Didn't you go with him on his birthday? Didn't he come to find you when he argued with me? You're practically his second wife." Seeing Layla getting hit, Lucas immediately stood up. In his panic, he slapped his wife as well, shouting, "Why are you hitting her? Who told you you can't have children?" Lucas's wife's eyes turned red with anger. "Then why did you have to find someone else? Do you have to rub it in my face?"